Welcome in. I think I'm live. It's nice to be here with you today. Um, I decided to do this live because I've been seeing a pattern happening out there with my clients, and I wanted to share it with you today. Everything is shifting, and I wanted to get into that a little bit and see if I couldn't offer you some insight and perhaps some help with what you might be feeling in your business right now. So, I'd like to start with a story and share with you a couple of experiences I've had recently with clients who were very, very talented and accomplished women with businesses that they had had for a while, and they felt scattered. They felt like things were shifting, almost like shifting sands under your feet. And they felt like their direction was wrong. They kept questioning everything they were doing. All of a sudden, they had this restless feeling going on inside their business. And we really attributed it to the energy shift that's happening on the planet right now, where we are all moving from one era to the next. And the energy that we've been operating under has been around for over 400 years. So none of us know anything other than what we've been living. So a lot of what we've been seeing happening is that the things that we're working, the tried and true ways to grow your business and attract your clients and so on, aren't working as well anymore for everybody. And the other piece of this that I see a lot is that women are struggling with all the wonderful talents they have. Usually we are accomplished, we get to an age where we have a lot of wisdom, we've learned how to do many, many things, and sometimes zeroing in on what the right thing to offer is problematic because we can do so many things, but what is the right thing that our clients need right now? And I think that's getting a little bit more difficult to ascertain now that we have this shift going on. And it's also a little difficult because we live in an era where people have been burned by promises that were made in the past and they weren't fulfilled. And a lot of clients are skeptical now and they aren't willing to just jump in and buy your program and start working with you without really getting to know you and establishing that trust with you. So these two women I worked with, independently, of course, one of them was very talented, had a book, was, really a course, really able to deliver a lot of value to her clients, but she had difficulty settling in on what was the right thing to be offering right now. And when we started working on looking at aligning her energy with her business and looking at what the new era requires in terms of what's going to be needed, what kind of help are people going to need, all of a sudden it became very, very clear to her which of the million things she could do very well she should focus on. It was really a real light bulb moment for her. And by the same token, the other client was pretty much the same experience, where very accomplished, lots of tools in her tool belt, lots of things she's able to help clients with, but a little bit fragmented, a little bit, um, you know, all over the place, needed some clarity, needed some direction. And again, when we looked at the role she came here to play through her human design, the clarity really began to shine through almost immediately, and it helped her really get clear on what she wanted to do next. So, after seeing this play out a couple of times in clients, I thought, "Ooh, this is a pattern. This is something that we really need to talk about, and we really need to look at in a way different than we've been looking at it in the past." So, if you'll indulge me for a moment, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to share a little bit about the new era and this energy that we're shifting from and into and what that means. And then hopefully you'll have a little bit of a paradigm for this whole discussion. So, since the year 1650 in the world of human design, we talk about the fact that we have been operating under what's called the cross of planning. And that energy is all about growth at really at any cost, hustle, hierarchy, conforming, institutions, all of the things that we have known all of our working lives. But as this new energy enters the scene, and it's actually already happening, we find ourselves needing to shift gears and be more inward focused. In other words, we have always looked for validation outside of ourselves, and we've looked for permission to do things. We've been given scripts and funnels and certain ways we need to behave and act and do things in business. And all bets are off with the new energy because it's a more individualistic energy. It's about authenticity. It's about creativity. It's not about hierarchies. It's not about permission. It's about self trust and really doing things your way. Now, it's a little bit of a scary thing to have any kind of a change. This one will be just as scary. If you think back to the Industrial Revolution, which many of us were not around for, but we certainly know about it, there was a big change in society when people were asked to leave the farms and the family businesses and go into the factories. And it was a huge change in our lives. It also resulted in many, many innovations and modern conveniences that we still enjoy today. So it was a good thing, but it disrupted life. And I really believe that that's what's going to happen again as we enter this new era. Now, the hard date for the new era is February of 27. But as I talk about in my book, the actual new era has already come in and we're already feeling the effects of it. And we see that in the tried and true institutions that don't really hold up all the time for us anymore. During COVID, we saw it with healthcare. The hospitals simply couldn't handle the load. We see it in our school systems because, over the last couple of decades, we've gone from public schools and private schools to charter schools and home schools and lots of other kind of online schools. And that has to show us that the tried and true public school isn't working for anybody or everybody anymore. It works for some, but not for everyone. So we can see these changes. Where in our history have we ever seen government shutdowns? And we've had several. So the institutions that we've come to know and love are buckling and they're feeling the pressure to change because I believe of this era change in the energy. So we're all under this. We're all going to feel it. And it's a little scary to go through any kind of a change, but I think the most important thing you can do for yourself is to really know yourself and understand how you assimilate change. And to look every problem that we see, the flip side is always something positive, a positive change in almost every case. And I believe this change is going to be a major opportunity for women, especially women business owners. I think you'll agree that the traditional job is having some problems. We've seen a few mass exodus from corporate America, people that just don't want to work in those environments anymore, and a surge in entrepreneurship or contract work or some kind of independent 1099 employment. So that's another area where we see things really shifting. So as we look at this opportunity for women exists because we're really in the process of leveling the playing field. Now, it won't happen February of 2027. It's taken several decades to get to this point, and it'll take several decades beyond next year for us to fully assimilate and step into this change. But the good news is all the rules that we have to live by today, all bets are off. We're going to be in a position to create new ways of doing things. And I don't know about you, but I would rather be involved in creating the new things and having a say in the way things are going to happen going forward than waiting around to see what somebody else comes up with and then being forced to settle for it. So I am encouraging all women to make the choice to, as my book says, lead with your light. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about stepping up and giving your gifts to the world. It's simply that easy. Leadership has to be redefined. We look at leadership and we think it's something we have to be invited into. Maybe we have the capability for leadership. Maybe we don't. Some boss or some colleague of ours will decide that for us. Well, I'm here to bust that myth because I have seen enough human design charts in the almost decade I've been working with human design to recognize that everyone has leadership capabilities. You don't have to have leadership development. You need to have leadership awakening. And what we need going forward are leaders that are going to lead us to new ways of doing things that correct some of the problems that we have with the old era ways. The rules that we have that say differences are bad, the rules that we have that say there's a certain way to do business, the rules that we have that say you have to conform and be and sound like everybody else, those all need to be busted. And once that we get involved in our own human design and understand our purpose and what we're here to bring to the world, we can be a part of helping the world create something that's more equitable for all. And we can bring some of the feminine energy and the feminine leadership principles to bear on what's going on. Our world is dominated by very masculine concepts, things like hierarchies and conformity and, you know, hustle. Hustle is a very masculine concept. And what we need is to bring more collaboration, some more community, some more of that compassion into the workplace, and to bring ourselves to the point where we've got a better balance of the male and female energy. Now, I'm not talking about men versus women. That is not what this conversation is about. This conversation is about the fact that we're out of balance and we need to correct that. And we have the opportunity to do that. All we need to do is shed the old rules and make the decision, the choice to be a part of creating what's new. So I put together a series of trainings, 6 trainings about what I see as the 6 steps to bringing out the best qualities of this new era. And I'm going to be teaching them right here on Substack beginning around mid-August. I will put a notice out and let you know. Um, we're going to be looking at things like alignment, and that's really understanding who you are, what your purpose is, what you came here to give to the world, what contribution did you come here to make. And of course, we'll be using my favorite tool, human design, to get at that. And then we're going to be talking about your role in the new era, which I see after having done that exercise with a number of clients as a way to really help you understand what the direction of your business should be for perhaps the next decade, at least the next 5 to 7 years, and what you could be offering, what you are naturally equipped to offer to help people make this transition from the old ways to the new ways. Some people are going to be lost because they're so used to asking permission or waiting for direction or waiting for instructions that when that's not out there anymore and they have to do it on their own and trust themselves and go inward for the answers, some people are going to have difficulty doing that. They're going to need help. And that's where you come in. So, doing that role in the new era really helps you identify what you came here to do, what special skills and talents you have to help people release the old and embrace the new. That is huge for all of my healers out there, all of the people that do work to help people release things. Very, very huge. Next, we have the whole idea of getting yourself aligned, not only in terms of your human design, but with your business so that your business flows the way you were designed to work it, and that your natural strengths and talents come out and they're accelerated, and you're actually offering those in the marketplace instead of what somebody else told you that it was the right thing to offer. So the next step then is to become very clear about your business. And that following that then is getting the clear messaging around it. So really understanding at a level where you have complete and total clarity about your business direction and how to communicate that to others. What is your contribution? How do you speak about that to others? Now, here's a really big change that I see. It isn't going to be enough to be a business owner anymore. We're going to have to be leaders because when we put the new out into the world, we need followers to pick it up and run with it and make it part of our society. And that's going to take leadership. And that's why leadership is part of what I do and teach, because we've got to be the ones that step out in front and are the first to bring this to the world. You have to make the choice to do that. You have to muster the courage to break from the status quo and talk about what you believe in. That's leadership. I'm trying to redefine what we call leadership to get rid of the idea that it has to be developed, that you have to be invited to be a leader, and to replace that with the idea that everyone is a leader. And if you look at your human design, you can see very easily where leadership exists in your chart. And all you need to do is make the conscious choice to decide to use that to make an impact in whatever area of the world you choose to work in, whatever lights you up. Then, after the leadership aspect, once you step into the role of a leader, you cross that threshold that stops a lot of us from leading because we have fear around being looked at as somebody who's too aggressive, or losing some friends and colleagues, or having to step off into the unknown. Once you get past that, the next step is, well, all right, now I know what I'm going to do. How am I going to stand in a belief around it that makes me a thought leader, somebody other people want to follow? So that's part of this too, is to bring your thought leadership, to develop that, to develop your insights into thought leadership things that you can talk about in a speech or on a podcast or anywhere that you can get some visibility. So, in coupled with that thought leadership piece is also the visibility piece, because you don't want to go out into the world and start talking before you're clear on what thoughts you're trying to lead people to. That's very important. And then we move on to an area of growth. Once you get those established, how do you now scale and grow your business? It's going to be different because, as we mentioned, a lot of the things that we've been taught in the past don't work so well anymore. Let's face it, when you do a webinar, everybody knows that you're going to have a pitch at the end. And a lot of people either don't show up or they tune out before that occurs. People are looking for more than just information. People are looking for help implementing, help really applying what they've learned. There's a ton of information out there. And between YouTube and AI, you can go out there and answer any question that you can possibly think of in your brain. So we don't need to be people that just give more information. We need to give help that goes deeper than that. And it goes deeper in helping people embody what they've learned, use it, apply it, help it to make a difference in their lives, in their businesses, to take action on it. That's very important. So these are basically the 6 steps that I see that we need to talk about in terms of this new era and how we really put a system in place that helps us transverse this change and come out with a strong, sustainable, abundant business that really helps people on the other side of this. Everybody is here for a reason right now. It's no accident that you were born in this time and you're here during this transition. You have a role to play, and it's important that you recognize what that is and you play that role. So I'm encouraging you to be part of this training that I'm offering right here on Substack. I'll send notices out about it so you can opt in and get it on your calendar. There'll be 6 individual lessons that cover the 6 areas, the alignment right through to the growth. Each one will be its own separate piece with exercises and a way for you to uncover where you are in the process and what your next step is to get your business built for the new era. I'm very excited about this because I think it's something that everyone can benefit from, whether you are somebody who's new in business or you've been in business for a while. The ground is shifting under all of our feet, and we're all going to be required to make some changes and some new choices. So getting this information, it is my hope that you will have an opportunity to use this to help you make the choices that are the right choices for you to make. In addition, at the end of the series, I will be offering a free Your Next Step call if anybody wants to hop on the line with me and talk about what they've learned and what they think their next step is. I'm happy to volunteer my services to have a 30-minute conversation with you about that and help you get some ideas down to help you make that change in your life and in your business. So I hope you'll join me for this. It's, I think, really timely. Everybody needs to understand what's going on, and I think the more information you can learn about your human design, the better off you'll be because you'll be able to fall back on your own inner wisdom and you'll be able to trust yourself without second guessing yourself, depending on gurus, which, by the way, are going to cease to exist because they don't have any more answers than we do at this point. It's sort of, up for grabs. It's going to be a new day for everybody. So thanks for joining me today. I'm Nancy O'Keefe. I love human design. I hope that I can get you to love it too. And I hope you'll join me in mid-August for the 6 individual trainings, which will occur on 6 different days. And I look forward to seeing you there. Take care and have a nice rest of your day.